What's up everybody, Jared here with carbuzz.com, and this week I am reviewing the 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL. This happens to be the SL55, the lower of two available SL trims in the higher performance trim. The SL is now fully an AMG model. There is no non-AMG SL. You can only get it as an SL55 or an SL63, and this vehicle actually serves a dual role. It replaces the outgoing S-Class convertible, which is now gone, and the AMG GT Roadster, which is also gone. The next generation AMG GT is only going to be a coupe, but it is going to share a platform with this car. So a lot of what we see here is what we will see on the next generation AMG coupe. Now, this includes bold new styling for this next generation SL, whereas the last generation was a little bit doughy. This one is incredibly aggressive at the front, a lot like the outgoing AMG GT. We've got some really sharp headlights. For the first time on an SL, we have the Panamericana grille, and I think that overall this look is so much better than the last SL, which I was never a fan of. We've got 12 available colors here on the SL, including Patagonia Red, which I think is a fabulous color for this car. I think it also looks really good in yellow, and there's like a hyper blue that is also really good. Hyper blue, ultra blue, I can't remember what it was called. We also have, I believe it's like 6 different wheel options. We happen to have this Aero wheel, which is really cool. I didn't love it at first, but it's really growing on me. It has like a lot of covering, but it does help with the high-speed aerodynamics of this car, which I think is really cool, that it both serves a design and a performance function as well. Under the hood of the SL, the only option right now is a twin-turbo hand-built V8, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We also have a soft-top roof for the first time in a while on an SL. Mercedes has been doing hard-top roofs, but I'm honestly really happy that they've gone back to a soft top. I know some of you in the comments will be, oh, it's gonna be loud because it's a soft top rather than a hard top. It is not loud. This is super insulated. Trust me, Mercedes made this incredibly quiet, and I know that some people like the look of a hardtop, but honestly, I think this looks just so much more classic to me. And for performance, it's 46 pounds lighter than the old hardtop folding roof. As you can see, we have these door handles that like pop out of the car, which is kind of cool. They retract in and then they slide out, which is kind of cool. They're a little bit annoying, honestly, but when you have the key in your pocket, they will come out and go back in automatically when you walk away from the car or walk towards it. I love the SL from like this angle. I think it is just so nicely proportioned, especially with the roof down, which I will show you a little bit later. These taillights really remind me of the AMG GT. We've got our nice quad AMG exhaust pipes back here, and this is a pop-up spoiler, which I'll try to show you in a bit as well. We have our AMG badge over here, and we have our SL55 badge over here. In terms of trunk space, here's why I really like the soft top roof. So we have 7.5 cubic feet of storage back here, but because we have this optional package right here, we actually get up to 8.5 cubic feet of space. So you don't have to get this, but I kind of recommend you do because I think it's like a $480 option. If you push this button up here, you can actually fold this up. So it's like a powered version of one of those like locking cubby bins. So as you can see, that folds up, and now you get a little bit more storage if you don't plan to put the roof down. If you want to put the roof down, you're going to have to lower this, but you see it only takes up about a cubic foot of space, and that is where the roof goes. But that is a lot less storage taken up by the roof than the old folding hardtop. When you put the folding hardtop down in the outgoing SL, you basically lost your trunk. It was crazy. So now we'll talk about the interior of this car, where we have the base, if you can believe it or not, massage like AMG sports seats. I think these look pretty cool, to be honest, although we don't have, there's like an optional interior package where you can get this all nice and like quilted leather stitching and stuff like that. So this is actually a little bit boring of a design in my opinion, but the seat itself is really great. As you can see, it is really nicely bolstered, and those are adjustable as well. We've got the Mercedes air scarf technology, so this blows hot air on you. So if it's really cold when you're driving with the top down, you can put on the air scarf, the heated seat, the heater. Between all of that, it really doesn't matter if it's 30 degrees outside. You will still be warm in this car. And this does have massage as well as standard, and it's a pretty good massage as well. So that's something that you won't get on something like a 911 or even an Aston Martin DB11. For the first time in a while, the SL is a 2+2. As you can see, these back seats are really bad. I will do you the honor of sitting in it so you can see, oh my gosh, just how bad it is. We're gonna see how, oh my God, I have zero headroom. My head is being crushed right now, as you could maybe see. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the seat is already not even as far back as it needs to go, and it's already crushing me. So yeah, pretty useless back seats, just like a Porsche 911. Just as worthless. All right, the seats do fold forward and back automatically, so at least getting back in there is rather simple. And I mentioned how thick this roof is. Like, look at that. I literally can't even like clamp my hand around like how thick that roof is. All right, now we're on to the interior. I'm gonna go ahead and start it up. We're gonna see how gorgeous this interior is. First, what I'm gonna do is put the roof down. I'll show you how that is done. It is really quick. You can do it in about 15 seconds up or down. So you have to hit this button down here, and now you have this on the screen. So you have to use your finger and you have to hold it the entire time, and it'll show you how that works on the screen. It'll like show you the roof going down. I believe you can do it either up or down just using the button. You don't have to use the touchscreen, but it only works one way, which is a little bit strange. I'm not really sure why. All convertibles like make you hold on to a button, so this isn't really like abnormal. People are like, well, why doesn't it do it automatically? It's like a safety thing. But it is a little bit annoying to hold that button down. So as you can see, the SL looks fantastic with the roof down. I think it is just such a good looking car. So much better looking than the outgoing car, especially now. Let's move around to the rear where I told you I really liked the angle. I love it even more right now with the roof down. It is so cool. And then we can go ahead and put the spoiler up. We even have a little spoiler control button right here. Go ahead and put it all the way up. There we go. And now we can see it with the spoiler. How cool is that? I actually don't love it in this fully up position. I like it a little bit lower, but it is still really cool. All right, now let's focus on the rest of the interior, where the SL is partially a sports car, but I think it focuses a little bit more on being a luxury car. We've got this 11.9-inch touchscreen that is powered by the latest MBUX software. So you have your map is going to be like your main screen, and then it is going to autofill with these little squares based on what you use a lot. So as you can see, I've been using the vehicle lift, the nose lift feature, so that is up. If you use your massage a lot, it'll populate with that. It'll just learn what you like as you drive around, which I think is a really nice feature. You can also tilt this screen. So if you have a little bit of sun glare, it does tilt quite significantly. It helps a little bit with the sun glare, to be honest, but honestly, I've felt it's fine in this lower position right here. You do have a few buttons down here. So this is going to be all of your AMG drive modes. You can change the engine, suspension, the AMG dynamics. You can switch from automatic to manual mode, and you do have some exhaust controls. You can have it be quiet or loud. This is in quiet. This is in loud. You can definitely hear a difference there. You can also control everything on these little drive mode controllers here that are really cool. So you can change what's on these by clicking on the actual screen. So there's traction control, there's suspension, there's the exhaust, and then you can adjust them using these, or you can just change the entire personality of the car over here. Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus, Race. Click it is going to get you your individual. There's individual, and you also have a snow mode as well, so you can customize all of that as well. You also have a digital gauge cluster as well, so a bunch of different functions that you can do here, and you can control that here as well. And also, if you don't want to use the touch screen, you can use this little controller right here on the steering wheel. It basically controls the entirety of this screen without having to touch it. But you can do that over here with this button. So right now I have the classic gauges because they're just easier to read, but you also have some cool looking sport gauges. You also have these really neat looking super sport gauges, and you can also simplify it and have like a more understated gauge, or you can have like a full color map, which is quite cool as well. So this is a really nice interior. We've got Burmester audio. We've got carbon fiber, although there are other trims that you can get as well, but it is overall just a really nice place to sit, much nicer than something like a Porsche 911 interior in terms of luxury. Honestly, maybe it's not as quite as nice as a Bentley Continental GT or an Aston Martin DB11 in terms of just the opulence of the leather, but it is really not that far off, and it's a lot less expensive. And before we get it out on the road, I've just got to talk to you about how amazing the ambient lighting is on this car. Now, if you don't like a ton of ambient lighting in your car, you might not enjoy this. You might think it looks a little bit tacky, but honestly, I think Mercedes does the best ambient lighting of any automaker. There are tons of like effects that happen when you like get into the car. Like for example, if I raise the temperature here, you're gonna see that the lights turn red, and then if I lower it, the lights are gonna turn blue with the temperature. Just really cool ambient lighting that I really enjoy. The headlights show like AMG, like this cool dancing pattern as you start it up. This car does just have a ton of drama, and I absolutely love that. All right, so now it's time to get the AMG SL out on the road, and you can watch my first drive review of this car where I absolutely adored this car, and now after spending a week with it, my opinions from that first drive have further been cemented. So let's talk about the engine. It's a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8, similar to the one we find in a bunch of regular Mercedes and Mercedes-AMG cars. It is a hand-built engine, one man, one engine, and there are two versions of it in the SL. So you have the SL55, which is the model we're driving, and then you have the SL63. So the 55 has 469 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in just 3.8 seconds. That's the model we're driving now. That's already extremely quick. That's more power than you're going to get in a 911 Carrera and a 911 Carrera S. Those models are, the Carrera S is a little bit quicker than this car though, of course, because it's lighter and smaller. Then you've got the SL63, which is a complete beast. 577 horsepower, 590 pound-feet of torque, but really the biggest difference there is the 0 to 60 time. You're going to go down from 3.8 seconds to 3.5 seconds, so really only 0.3 of a second off on the 0 to 60 time. I don't know if it's really worth the price, which we'll talk about a little bit later, to upgrade to the SL63, because when I drove both of them back to back, I honestly couldn't feel that big of a difference between the two. And that's not to say that the SL63 isn't faster. It definitely is. You can feel a broader torque band through more of the rev range, and it is a lot quicker accelerating just in general, but it is a lot more money. And there is going to be an even more powerful version, likely called the SL63E Performance, that'll add some kind of electrification as well. So now what we're going to do is turn around here so that we can do a 0 to 60 run. So we have a little bit of a kink in the road here, so I've gone ahead and put it into Sport Plus mode. Let me actually put it into race mode. That's going to give us our best acceleration. So in race mode, you can already hear that the car has gotten significantly louder, which is great. And we do have our built-in track pace telemetry and stuff here. So right now I have it set to drag race mode, so it's going to automatically time my 0 to 60 run. Let's go. Race start. Okay. Whoa! Woo-hoo-hoo! That was really quick. All right, we've got a recording set. That actually didn't give me drag pace there for whatever reason, so that was a 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, which was a little bit slower than that 3.8 that Mercedes claimed. But again, it didn't activate my drag launch there. I'm not really sure why. We're gonna have to try that again there for sure, because that was without launch control. It was still 4.5 seconds. That's still really quick. Oh my God, and this V8 engine just sounds incredible. It's funny how like smooth and deliberate it is when you're just driving normally. It just gives sort of that low rumble that doesn't really disturb you too much. You can definitely hear the V8 at all times, but it's not obnoxiously loud like something like a Jaguar F-Type would be, or even the old AMG GT, to be honest. All right, let's try this one more time. See if we can actually get it to do a drag launch. All right, foot on the brake fully. There we go. Okay, here we go. That was it. Woohoo! Okay, we definitely got one there. And 0 to 60, 3.86. That's pretty much exactly what Mercedes says this will do. So we're going to go ahead and say that the Mercedes claim of 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds is definitely true. This thing feels incredibly quick. So we could talk about this 9-speed automatic transmission. It's actually called their MCT. It's a little bit different than a standard automatic because it doesn't have a torque converter. It actually has a wet start-off clutch. So it is a little bit like a dual clutch transmission in a sense. It's kind of interesting. It shifts a lot like a dual clutch. The shifts are really good. You downshift, super quick on that, especially in race mode. It is a really good automatic transmission that pairs the best of what you want in a dual clutch with the best of what you want in an automatic transmission. I'm really happy with this transmission, to be honest. I think it is a little bit smoother in daily operation than something like the dual clutch transmission that you got in the AMG GT, but a little bit quicker than the automatic that you used to get in things like the S-Class Coupe. And that is where this SL really shines, because the SL, you know, kind of had like a weird spot in Mercedes lineup with the S-Class Coupe and the AMG GT. It was kind of like, okay, if you want something comfortable, get the SL. If you want something sporty, get the AMG GT. And the SL was just kind of there. Now those two models have been replaced. So it's like, what do you do there? So what Mercedes thought they would do is they would make the SL kind of a replacement for both the sporty GT and the comfortable SL. And believe it or not, they actually nailed that duality. This is such a great touring car, but it also becomes an incredible sports car when you drive it fast. Oh my God, it's so fast. And this is just the 55 version. This isn't even the SL63 or that upcoming E-Performance. We also have all-wheel drive as standard. The first time ever all-wheel drive has been offered on an SL, and it just means that you have grip for days. You know, paired with the rear-wheel steering, this thing just shrinks around itself as you whip through these corners. You just have so much grip. This car really feels infallible through the corners. It's incredible. You pay a price for all this performance with the fuel economy, 14 mpg city, 21 on the highway, and 16 combined, but I guess that's not really why you buy an SL, is it? And I'll talk to you about the differences between the SL55 and the SL63 before I summarize the pricing in the last bit. So as part of the SL63, you're going to get AMG Ride Control, which, so SL55, sorry, comes with AMG Ride Control is what they call it, steel suspension. If you want to get the adaptive suspension, you're going to either have to go to the SL63 or you're going to have to get the SL55 in the performance trim, which is what we have here. That's going to get you the hydraulic suspension with a front axle nose lift, which is useful because this car does have a rather low front end. You're going to get yellow brake calipers, a limited slip differential as well. That all sounds like really good stuff for about $7,000. I would personally get that, and I think that gets you most of the way to the SL63 without spending the incredible sum that is the SL63, so I would definitely do that. The AMG Active Ride Control, which is the hydraulic suspension that we have here on this performance trim, is fantastic. It's really comfortable, but then it also has anti-roll technology for when you're driving spiritedly. So when you put it into sport or race mode, it really does a great job of keeping this car extremely planted, whereas the rear steer also makes it feel agile. It is really, really great. You can get also composite brakes as standard, and there are optional ceramic brakes on this car. Honestly, I don't think you need the ceramic brakes. This isn't really a track car. This is a fantastic Grand Tourer that is also great on a back road. So honestly, in my opinion, the SL55 is more than enough car. You don't need the SL63. This feels quick enough. It is an amazing Grand Touring car that is also an extremely fun sports car, and I'm amazed at the leap that Mercedes has made here. This car is just so dang fun to drive, but also comfortable to drive. It is one of the best all-arounder Grand Touring cars money can buy right now. All right, so that was the 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL. Let's talk about pricing and where this stacks up in the market. The SL55 Touring is going to start at $137,400, and to get the performance trim with the suspension and the limited slip diff is $144,700. And honestly, I suggest you do that. I think it's worth the money. As optioned, this car is about $158,000, which is still about 20 grand less than the SL63. The SL63 starts at $178,100 for the touring trim, or $179,900 for the performance trim. And I think, honestly, to save at least 20 grand or more, 40 grand if you're just measuring touring to touring, I think that the SL55 is more than enough car, and you'll be perfectly happy with it. Now, the SL is a little bit more expensive than like a base 911 without any options, but as we know, Porsches can get notoriously expensive because they don't come with that much as standard. I think this drives almost as well as a Porsche 911, and if you're considering getting the 911 with an automatic, I would seriously consider an SL if you're not driving on canyon roads or on a racetrack constantly, because this is the superior road car to me. It has a better interior, it comes with a lot more as standard, and it honestly sounds better than a standard 911 Carrera. Honestly, I think that this thing competes with things like the Bentley Continental GT convertible, the Aston Martin DB11 convertible, but at a much lower price, which, even though it's more expensive than a 911, the SL-AMG is kind of a bargain compared to those Bentleys and Aston Martins, which are far more expensive and get well into the $200,000 range. So the SL55 punches way above its weight class, and it finally competes with the 911 in a reasonable way. It is an amazing car that is both a great Grand Tourer and a great sports car, and it is one of my favorite new cars that has come out this year. I really hope you've enjoyed this look at the 2022 Mercedes-AMG SL. For more videos like it, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. And if you want to read more about the SL55, be sure to check out carbuzz.com. I'll see you next time.